Welcome to Ports and Palaces podcast. It is April 8th, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about rope dropping at Disney World. Whether you're staying on property or commuting from nearby, we're here to break down how to make the most of those magical early mornings.
Good morning, everyone. Last week, we shared our top 10 tips for Disney World, and one topic that sparked a lot of conversation was rope drop and early entry. Y'all blew up our social media with questions like, what should I rope drop if I'm staying off property? Is Flight of Passage really worth the wait in the morning? What if now the changes in Magic Kingdom are affecting my trip? What do I need to do? So we thought, you know what, let's dedicate a full episode to help you game plan your rope drop strategy like a pro. Grab your coffee, throw on those mini ears, and let's dive into each park one by one.
So first off, let's start with the wildest park, Animal Kingdom, that is. This park opens the earliest and closes the earliest, so timing is kind of everything here. Mm-hmm. It's surprising how early. Don't they close at like 6 p.m.?
Yeah, in the summer, it may be a little later, but yeah, it's pretty early. Those animals like to go to sleep.
Pretty standard. It is early entry for on-property guests. If you can rope drop Animal Kingdom properly, go straight to Pandora World of Avatar. The line is going to get super long immediately at Flight of Passage. Mm-hmm. Happens every time. If you're not into thrills or traveling with little ones, Navi River is a nice, slow, relaxing ride with great visuals of inside of a cave and a forest and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, and if you are trying to time and maximize what I can do in early entry, if you can be at the front of the line for Flight of Passage, you can typically get on and off Flight of Passage and then on to Navi River Journey in early entry. Now, there might be a little bit of a wait at Navi River Journey, but not a terrible one. So if you're early enough at Flight of Passage, that is a good option.
So sadly, a lot of this information excludes off-property guests. So off-property guests won't necessarily be allowed to early entry. So in that case, we would usually tell those park guests to go straight to Kilimanjaro Safaris. That seems to be the second most high volume ride or attraction to go to in Animal Kingdom. And especially in the mornings, you might catch the groundskeepers taking care of some of the animals.
Yeah, and then Kilimanjaro Safari is also not open for early entry, so this does kind of give off-property guests just a little bit of a better advantage. Early entry guests could technically go in and get in line for the safari. It doesn't open until park open, or even sometimes a little bit after park opening, so this would be a good place to try to get a fair advantage.
For anybody who bought the park packages, especially if you purchase single pass or multi-pass or even premier pass especially, don't rope drop this part. Sleep in and rest. Especially with Premier Pass, you get first dibs to a lot of different rides, including Flight of Passage, and can basically go in whenever you want.
You could also, if you're just getting multi-pass, you could still just go in and rope drop Flight of Passage and then not have to buy single pass. But the way that multi-pass works in Animal Kingdom, there's no tiers. So everything is kind of fair game, and there's not enough rides to really say, oh, I'm going to rope drop and get multi-pass unless you are like wanting to ride rides multiple times.
So kind of the general rule of thumb with that park, do Flight of Passage first if you have the lightning lane for it or if you have early entry, but general rule for Animal Kingdom is to go in a clockwise loop around the park.
Yeah, if you have multi-pass, then I would do a clockwise loop. Next up, we're going to head to Epcot. This one's just a bit trickier because there are two entrances into this park. So you've got the front gate, which is over by Spaceship Earth, and then you've got the International Gateway, which is by France and Remy. Also, something to note is test track is currently down. It's supposed to come back, they said, late summer of 2025. So we are going to run our strategy as if it's open. So just keep that in mind. So early entry, if you are coming in through the front, you're going to want to go to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind first. Even if you're buying single pass or premier pass, you're going to want to ride this attraction twice. Just trust me, unless you have serious motion sickness, but our daughter is fine on it. So that would be my recommendation. You're going to want to ride Guardians twice at least. So do a rope drop and then get it later. If you are not a Guardians fan, then I would do Test Track if it's open, or Frozen, because that's going to be your closest one. So there are a ton of tier 1 attractions in Epcot, and it's kind of hard to prioritize all of them and still hope that you're going to get them on multi-pass. So you want to rope drop one, if not two of them. From the International Gateway area or the Skyliner area, your obvious choice is going to be Remy's Ratatouille Adventure for rope drop if you're doing early entry. And then you really want to try to get to Frozen if you can afterwards. So you want to try to be at the beginning of your Remy's line to get to Frozen as quick as you can. There more than likely will be a line at Frozen, but it's going to be a less amount of line if you can get there early. I wouldn't try to get to Test Track after Remy's because it's too far. Frozen's going to be your next best, unless you want to try to get to Soarin', but those would be your next two for early entry. If you're off property, obviously you don't get early entry, and all those people that I just gave advice to for early entry are already clogging up those tier 1 rides. So I would say kind of look at your wait times. There will be wait times when you start because people have been in the park for 30 minutes. Your best bet is going to be Test Track, Frozen, or Soarin'. Test Track and Frozen, they're going to have long waits, but they're probably going to get longer as the day goes on. Soarin' might be a better bet if you know you're trying to get on something with low waits, or there's all those smaller rides like Spaceship Earth that you could ride in the early hours. If you are doing lightning lanes, this doesn't change a whole lot because there are so many tier 1 rides that the plan doesn't change a whole lot. Basically, you want to prioritize the tier 1 rides you didn't get because you can only get one. So, you know, if you got a lightning lane for Remy, you're prioritizing Test Track or Frozen. If you got one for Frozen, you're trying to get Remy and Test Track. Like, you want to just kind of pick out what you didn't get for your lightning lanes. Soarin' is not hard to get. So if you want to just kind of not worry about that one, as soon as you scan into your first lightning lane in the morning, you can typically get Soarin'. So I wouldn't rope drop Soarin' if you're using lightning lanes. Now, call me crazy, this might be a park that you get Premier Pass for because there are so many tier 1 rides and it's hard to get to all of them because everybody wants all of them. So if you were going to do Premier Pass, you might think about it in Epcot. And then even crazier idea, if you get Premier Pass, also get Single Pass, and then also rope drop Guardians. And then you can ride it 3 times. Just a pro tip if you have money to spare.
That's a good tip. I never would have thought of that.
Can you tell we like Guardians?
One of our most favorite rides, actually. Even our daughter loves it. Mm-hmm. So by far, my favorite Disney World park is Hollywood Studios. You can probably guess why, because it's Star Wars Land, or rather Galaxy's Edge is the proper name for it. She hates when I call it Star Wars Land. But this park also has Slinky Dog Dash in Galaxy's Edge. It has Rise of the Resistance, which those 2 rides specifically usually have a serious wait, even in the mornings. Mm-hmm. If you're a big Star Wars fan, plan to pay for Rise of the Resistance later with a lightning lane. Yeah. If you want to spend a lot of time in that land, that's great. There's plenty of different activities to go to, plenty of different eateries to go to while you're in there. Don't let anybody talk you into getting the green milk. Always go blue milk.
Blue milk's not much better, but
yeah. Sure. Something berry flavored. Anywho, rope drop of Slinky Dog afterward, and then zip over to Toy Story Mania. That's always a fun little competitive game. That's always a good competitive game, or one I've never really been on, or at least haven't been on in a while. Is Alien Swirling Saucers.
I know. I've been able to kind of avoid that ride for a while, and our daughter saw it when we were at the parks last and was like, why haven't we ever gone on that? And so now she's conveniently constantly asking, like, are we going to go on that one next? I was like, fine, sure.
So off-property guests, you're a little bit out of luck. Kind of have to pivot your plan here. Instead, what you'll want to do is head to Tower of Terror and then Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway first. And then if you really like the ride, I would honestly go over to Rock and Roller Coaster. Speaking of Rock and Roller Coaster, when are they planning to re-outfit that
No
ride?
idea. I'm hoping to get some information. Muppets is supposed to be closing soon. If it hasn't already, I'll have to go check. It was either March or May. It was one of the M calendar months. Nothing on that yet. But something to mention with Rock and Roller Coaster is that it is a coaster. It does go upside down. So it's the only coaster in the park that does go upside down. So just know if you're wanting to rope drop that, it's all indoors. So it's not like something you can see that it goes upside down, but it does. So if that's something you don't like, don't rope drop that.
With lightning lanes, especially if you have the Premier package, absolutely prioritize Rise of the Resistance or Slinky Dog. Even the lightning lane lines are usually pretty jam-packed with people who have lightning lanes or Premier Pass. Or if not, you can rope drop something else fun or as a filler like Star Tours. That's the one where you fly around to different scenes within Star Wars. You know, if you have a old Star Wars fan who liked the original movies, that'll be a really cool adventure for them.
Hello, Oliver.
That's our cat. Muppet 3D Vision, while it's still around.
I just saw it's closing permanently on June 8th. So I was just completely wrong. So it's after an M month.
Well, if you have a trip, try to go see Muppet Vision 3D while you still can.
Just to give you an example of this, our family utilizes lightning lanes in Hollywood Studios. So we rope drop Slinky Dog Dash and then zip right over to Midway Mania because they're just right across from each other. And then we use Alien Swirling Saucers, or This Is Our Plan This Time. We usually have a different ride. Alien Swirling Saucers is right next to it. So we would do Lightning Lane of the Day there, our very first lightning lane there. And then that helps us get Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad for later in the day. You want to try to get a ride that is not as competitive. So Alien Swirling Saucers fits that bill. You want to try to get that really early in the day because the whole thing with lightning lanes is you use one, you get one. So you want to keep that momentum going. And then that helps us do Mickey and Minnie's potentially twice because we do like that ride. So we're able to get it later in the day with lightning lanes. But then usually if we can get off Midway Mania pretty quickly, we will go do Mickey and Minnie's with a short line standby. We're usually getting there right at park open. So there is a little bit of a line, but it's worth it because it's not terrible. We do save Rise of the Resistance for later in the day. We use the paid lightning lane, the single pass, because while it's getting better, that ride does break down and we like the guarantee that we're going to get on there. So we just go ahead and pay for that one because if you're in standby and it breaks down, there's no guarantee that they'll give you an experience pass to come back later. So we just like to pay for that one. Obviously it hurts because you're paying to ride it one time, but it's what we do just to make sure we can get on it. And then we're not the biggest fans of Millennium Falcon, so we skip that one.
We don't want to deter you from going on Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Just from our experience, the 2 times that we've ridden it, I was lucky enough to get pilot seat the first time, and then the second time I got the gunner seat, and it was just touching a bunch of buttons. You know, if you're there with family, it's very exciting and very fun and stuff like that. Loses its luster, in my opinion, after the first couple of times. The
queue is really fun. The queue's fun to go and see, and the ride is fun. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know when you're I'm going to say it wrong, but like the person the engineer, and you're just hitting that button the whole time. You're like more focused on hitting the button than like enjoying the ride. Yeah. And to me, it's just not fun for us. Some people absolutely love it, but I don't want to focus on hitting a button for a ride. That's just not fun for me.
There are 2 pilot seats in the front, so if you can get a pilot seat, that's the most fun spot, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then finally, the park that everyone knows and loves, as we fondly call it, Mickey's Castle, but Magic Kingdom. This is the biggest park on property, and there are so many ways to do rope dropping here depending on your priorities. So there's really no wrong way to do this park because there are so many options. We're just going to kind of give you based on popularity, and we did look at thrill data. If you haven't noticed or seen that site before, it does give you like wait time estimates and things like that. So this is based on popularity data. So for early entry, you're going to want to try to hit Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That is a single pass ride. So if you're not wanting to pay that extra, that's a Seven Dwarfs is a good one to try to rope drop, or go to Space Mountain. Those are both high capacity rides, and they do have long waits later in the day. So it's nice to get those out. If you have little ones that can't do roller coasters and or you don't like roller coasters, Peter Pan's Flight is sneaky popular and it backs up fast. The queue is very short. It's interactive. It's fun, but that queue backs up. And so that's a good one to try to do. If you are at the front of the rope drop pack, you could potentially get on Seven Dwarfs and then go to Peter Pan and then go to Small World during early entry. Like if you were booking it, you didn't have to worry about a stroller. That could potentially be a option because they are very close together. If you have someone that doesn't want to do Seven Dwarfs and you have a stroller, you could have that person take the stroller, get it situated while the first people are on Seven Dwarfs. Everyone meet at Peter Pan, then do Small World. So it's an option. There are fun things in Tomorrowland like Buzz and Space Mountain, Tomorrowland Speedway, things like that. But I just find you can...
I love Space Mountain, but you hate Space Mountain.
I hate Space Mountain. But not everyone hates Space Mountain, so I have to bring it up. But I would stick in Fantasyland because there are more options there. If you're off property, the rules on this did change. So early entry guests used to have to stick to Fantasyland and Tomorrowland for early entry. Now they can go into Frontierland and Adventureland. They just can't ride a ride. But that does mean that those people could potentially be standing in line for 30 minutes or 15 minutes, if they finish up an early entry before off-property guests are allowed into those lands. So just know, like, if it used to be an advantage to say, oh, we'll just wait and go to Adventureland, Frontierland, there's equal options there. That has changed. So just know if you're, trying to get to Tiana's, there might be a line waiting there for you. I still recommend rope dropping Jungle Cruise and then going to Pirates. A lot of people are going to do Tiana's. They're going to do Tron. They're going to do those either rides that potentially are going to break down later in the day. Hello, Tiana's, or those rides that are more expensive like Tron and Seven Dwarfs. People are going to try to get those in the morning when the lines are low. So if you are off property, I say go to Jungle Cruise and Pirate because everyone else is going to be flooding elsewhere. Now, if you have lightning lanes, that changes your plan. If you don't want to buy a single pass, you're just trying to maximize lightning lane multipass, then you're going to want to rope drop Seven Dwarfs and then go get in line for Tron. Or if you don't want Seven Dwarfs, you're going to try to go to Tron. If you're wanting to maximize multipass, because there are a lot of rides on multipass in Magic Kingdom, then I would do rope dropping Peter Pan's Small World. And then, like I said, if you can get there early, do Seven Dwarfs. Try to maximize and get as many Lightning Lane multipass rides done so you don't have to use Lightning Lane for those later. You can get them knocked out in the morning. Clear as mud, but that's what I can do in a podcast time.
Smirking unbeknownst to the audience here that about our stories of Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland getting stuck there.
Getting stuck. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Just over and over for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that was intense.
Fun. So there you have it, folks. A full breakdown of the best rope drop strategies for each Walt Disney World park. Did we miss your go-to rope drop secret? Do you take a different approach? Let us know. We're always chatting with listeners over Instagram and Facebook. Just search Ports and Palaces with an ampersand vacations. Or
you can shoot us an email if you have questions about rope dropping or lightning lanes or how to juggle kids and coffee in a stroller during early entry. We'd love to help. Chad mentioned Instagram and Facebook, but we are very active over in TikTok. Same handle. Yeah, I get a lot of messages on TikTok. So feel free to hop over there, and I'd love to chat with you.
Until next week, I am Chad.
And I'm Kirsten. Happy travels from all your ports and palaces.